Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So this is my review, Married at First Sight, Season 9, Episode 10. Alright, let's start with new subscribers. Valerdy Arthur. That's cute. I like that. Valerdy. Rainy Day, Fierce Nana or Fierce Nana, 1007, Tanya Martin, Elizabeth Frank, and we have new visitors who left comments. Lawrence Jones, Nadira Polik, I hope I pronounced that correctly, and Maxine Moore. Thank you guys so much for subscribing, commenting, and just overall checking out my channel. I do appreciate it. All right, so yeah, I'm a little late with this. It's back to school time, and a whole bunch of things going on, open houses and all that type of stuff at school. So yeah, I'm a little backed up. But anyway, let's get into it. I am back. Let's start with Deanna and Greg. So Greg started off with meeting with his friend Pico, and they're hanging out. Of course, same situation like it was with Keith and his friend, where they hadn't seen each other since the wedding, and just catching up. So they're sitting down, and Pico really asked some good questions. He asked him how was the marriage going. Of course, Greg's main, I wouldn't call it a complaint, but his go-to response really now is that Deanna is not very open about her feelings. She's not very expressive, when it comes to verbally expressing how she feels. So he revealed this to Pico, and Pico asked him. This is where I thought it was a good question when he asked him, what if that never changed? Like, is that something you could live with forever? Greg sat there, he pondered over for a bit, and when he asked him, are her imperfections perfect for you? Like, are you cool? Because no one's perfect, right? So, are you okay with her imperfections? Meaning, whatever it is that's bothering you about her, can you live with that forever? So, Greg was saying that he feels, of course, in like in any marriage, any relationship for that matter, that you have to evolve, you have to grow, and a big part of that is communication, is expressing your feelings. So he said that he wouldn't want to live like that forever. However, he did not mention divorce. He didn't say he wouldn't. He just said he wouldn't want to. And when he said that, it made me think. Because in the beginning of the season, I think maybe the first or second day of the honeymoon, when they were talking, and Greg revealed to Deanna how he went to counseling and for his control issues and things like that. For some reason, if they stay together, I can see him talking Deanna into counseling, which is not a bad thing at all. I can see him first advising her to do solo counseling, just to deal with whatever it is she's dealing with, and then maybe marriage counseling. But I definitely can see him steering her in that direction. But anyway, so this episode, which they said that was the first ever in history where they were giving the couples an out. So if you felt like you just could not see yourself saying yes at the end of the 8 weeks, you just wasn't feeling it, you can actually leave. That was the thought behind this episode. So they met with Dr. Cole and Pastor Cal. And of course, the women were with, Dr. Coles. And so Deanna was sitting with Dr. Coles and she was asking her how things were going. Deanna was like, everything's great. I'm still getting to know him, but we're getting along. The communication is there. We get along great, but I'm still um, trying to get to know him, still trying to learn him. I'm still trying to get comfortable with revealing the real me, all of me. And so Dr. Coles was asking her, um, well, if you had to, like by tomorrow, you had to show him that he was loved. Like, what would that be? What would that look like? What would you do to show him that he was loved, he was wanted? And Deanna, excuse me, guys, her response was, oh, I would just, like, before leaving, I would make sure he's okay. He has everything that he needs, everything that he wants before I leave, just not having it all about me and Sandy. And Dr. Cole looked at her and was like, okay, yeah, that's nice, that's cute. However, that's more of a friend zone type of deal. That's something that roommates do. Like, what could you do? What else could you do? Like, you need to open up more. Um, and just really be expressive about how you feel. So Deanna, she was like, she's gonna work on that. Um, so Dr. Coles asked her, about love, and she was like, well, I'm working towards that. I'm working towards falling in love with him. So Greg is meeting with Pastor Kyle, and same questions. What would? Oh, let me back up. I'm getting ahead of myself. So when Dr. Coles asked Deanna, well, what would make you say no? Like, if right now you had to make that decision, what would make you say no? And Deanna, she was pretty quick to respond and said, I don't see me saying no. I don't see that happening. And so I believed her. I believed her. As time goes on, I'm back and forth with my feelings and my thoughts about her. It seemed like there's something more. Like, it just seemed like there's something more to her that she's not saying, but she does seem like she wants this to work for whatever reason. Like, I'm not even going to get into the house and stability, whatever. But I have to say that I noticed a big change from when they first got together, and the big change did start after they came back from the honeymoon and after they moved in together. All of a sudden, she's coming off shy, she's coming off insecure. All of a sudden now she can't express herself, she can't express her feelings. But we all seen in the beginning, Deanna had absolutely no problem speaking her mind. I mean, sometimes before Greg even finished a sentence, she's already responding. She was spunky. You know, she was just a little more upbeat. But now, like, she'll have a little energy with him. But I don't know. It seemed like whenever they start talking about, as long as they're just chilling, she seems cool. But as soon as they start talking about the relationship, whether she's talking about it with Greg or whether she's talking about with the experts, she seems very, very down, very just subdued. And I don't know. And I'm beginning to wonder if she, and I mentioned this in one of my earlier videos when he started revealing um about going to church and revealing about his house and all of this. And I said back then that I felt like Deanna probably was used to dealing with guys that had less than her, that were, I hate to say beneath her, but you guys know what I'm saying. Like, so for example, maybe they weren't college educated, maybe they were, blue collar worker, or from, one of the just the dudes that hang out, um, running game, got, baby mamas, or just wasn't relationship type of guys, which obviously was the case because she was not in a serious relationship since in 10 years. And I want to get on that too. So maybe she always felt, I guess, in a sense, on a pedestal. Even though these guys didn't work out, she probably convinced herself, well, it didn't work out because they couldn't handle me, because, and sometimes that is the case. Sometimes a lot of guys cannot handle a woman that has her own, a woman that has it going on, an independent woman. Some guys cannot handle that. And so I'm wondering if that's been in her psyche all this time. Like, okay, it didn't work out because, they want a ratchet chick and they couldn't handle, all of me, and all that I came with. um and now that she's with someone who's on her level and more, maybe that is making her feel like, damn, maybe I'm not, and she shouldn't, because she seems, well accomplished. But I'm just saying, if you've been dealing with these type of guys for years and years, and now you have a guy who seems like he got it going on, and he can match you in wit, match you in accomplishments, maybe that's making her feel a little small. That's where I'm going with the guys, because I'm telling you, something shift as soon as he started talking about his accomplishments, and as soon as it was confirmed, Deanna has been, now shoot, like I said, when they're chilling and bowling and playing whatever, it's all good. She jokes, she plays, but as soon as it's time for serious talk, she shuts down. She shuts down. So anyway, so Pastor Kyle meets with Greg, and same questions, how are things going? Greg gives the same answer. She's not very expressive with her feelings. It's very hard to read her. And one thing he did mention, he said, and I think said, I can't remember if he said it with Pico or if he said it with, I think he did. He said it when he was meeting with his friend, that although Deanna wasn't verbal with her feelings, he she did express it physically. So I guess, whereas before she acted like she didn't even want him to touch her, we see now that she's more affectionate with him. So she's more of the nonverbal with expression. So she feel like if she's not pushing you away, if she's hugging on you, she's touching you, she's smiling, laughing, and joking with you, then that should tell you she likes you. That should tell you she's feeling you. Whereas Greg wants to hear the words. So they're on the right track. They just need to work on the communication part. So it's like they're speaking the same language, they're saying the same thing, but they're just saying it in different ways. And they have to meet at a mutual ground, because it has to be comfortable for both of them. Some people are just nonverbal when it comes to expressions. Sometimes no words need to be said. Your husband, wife, girlfriend, whomever walks in the room, give you a kiss on the forehead, rub your back, and then go in the bathroom, or go get in the shower, or go get something to eat. You don't have, like, for me, I'm okay with that. You don't have to say, hey baby, I love you, blah 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 blah. You can come in the room, give me a kiss on the forehead, rub my back, and say, all right, I'm going downstairs to get something to eat. You want something? No, I'm going to go in the shower, I'll be back. And just, you already know that's that nonverbal communication there, and but some people do want you to come in, do all of that, and say, and say, Um, oh, you're so beautiful today. How was your day? Which is nothing's wrong with that. I mean, hey, whatever works for you. But at the same time, um, everyone's individuals and everyone has their way of communicating. And I just feel like there's no right or wrong way. It's just you're saying the same thing. So just come to a mutual ground and figure out how her nonverbal can work with your verbal. Like you both are giving each other what you want. I don't think their problem is that serious that they cannot excuse me, that they cannot work it out. So anyway, um moving on. So they both felt like, well, they both said that they were still committed to making the marriage work. Okay. So at the end of all of that, they met up again. They met up at home and they started talking about their meetings with the experts. And so Greg was asking Deanna, is there a fear, let's talk. And so she goes into her relationship. Now, I'm a little confused because if I'm not mistaken, and help me out, guys, if I'm not mistaken, Deanna's last relationship, she said she was in high school, maybe a senior in high school. And because her sister, if I'm not mistaken, said that they've never met any of her boyfriends, I guess, other than him. And, I guess she wouldn't bring home the other guys because they've all been, what does she call it, situationships. So when she goes into, she's been so hurt, like the last serious relationship she was in, she was deeply in love and he hurt her like beyond measure to the point where it has really affected her and how she express herself, how much she's willing to let herself be vulnerable. And it was very telling. I can tell that Greg appreciated her expressing that. Um, Now, I will say I hear it. I'm sorry that she went through that. A lot of women, a lot of men go through that. Here's the problem I have with it, because she's basically saying because of that it's hard for her to let people in. Okay, I get it. And I'm gonna say this, and I've been saying it, and I'm gonna say it again. I have a problem with you coming on this show. So, I mean, and hey, listen. Sometimes you go through a traumatic situation and you may never fully recover. Okay? No one's perfect. Everyone deals with situations, issues, hurt, trauma, whatever differently. We all do. I understand. But if that situation is has you so traumatized right now in the current state where you're not allowing yourself to love, show affection, show this person how you feel, make them happy, make them comfortable, make, just be happy together, then to me, my opinion, you need to be by yourself until you are able to do that, because it's not fair to that other person. It's not fair. And if she knew that she was, like, oh, I'm not ready, I'm still dealing with this, why would you come on the show to get married? Like, I keep going back to this, you guys. Like, I don't understand that. And she's like, listen, it's gonna take some time. And it's not like the usual. I mean, granted, they're strangers, so yeah, it's gonna take time to get to know someone. No one's saying you got to fall in love at the end of the 8 weeks. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, she's saying regardless of pretty much if it was on this show, or if she met somebody out in the world, at a club, at a convention, whatever, regardless of who she ended up with and how she ended up with them, it was going to take some time. She's not fully ready to bring down her wall to let somebody in. Okay, so all of this is going on with you emotionally, yet you have taken on a husband. Make that make sense, please. It's not fair. To me, it's selfish and it's wrong. It really is. And it's just not fair to him. He's ready. He's had trauma. He's dealt with the situation, being engaged and things didn't work out. He went, and not saying counseling's for everyone. I don't want to come off like, oh, they need to go to counseling. Hey, counseling doesn't work for everybody. You have some counselors who are screwed up, right? But what I'm saying is, Greg, and just going by what he has said, he realized, hey, before I get into another relationship, I'm going to work on me. I'm going to fix me. I'm going to seek the help that I feel like I need, so that when I get in a relationship, those issues that I was dealing with in my prior relationship can be dealt with already and won't resurface in the new relationship. That's what you're supposed to do. Not, well, let me go ahead and get it. To me, it seemed like these people are like, listen, it's not working out there in the real world, because when they're out there meeting people, the people that they're meeting are getting to know them, and they're making the decision. I only want to be with this person, more or less marry them. So, okay, let me go out there and just get an automatic husband or automatic wife, and then they can realize and find out all this baggage that I'm coming with. And it's just not right. But anyway, so let's get off of them. Well, no, because I want to talk about Greg when he started talking about his parents. And he mentioned how his dad had a whole nother family, and that's common in some cultures, as he mentioned, and how his mom was so devastated that she never dated after that. And he saw how much pain it caused his mom, and he vowed to never cause that same pain to his wife. And it's so funny how different situations can have different outcomes. So he saw his mom go through pain. He had issues in his previous relationship with his fiance, his ex fiance, and Deanna had issues with a guy she was in love with. And as a result of both situations, here he is wanting to make sure that he doesn't deal with those things. So he's going in head first, like, I am in this. This is what I want. I'm going to make sure that I don't repeat the same mistakes. And I'm going to make sure that my marriage is not like my parents. Whereas Deanna is like, I'm so hurt. I'm so traumatized. I don't know if I can ever fully trust someone again. I don't know if I can ever fully fall in love and be vulnerable again. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah. But if Greg is patient enough, and I think he is, he's expressing that, I think he's going to try to convince her to go to counseling, and maybe to his counselor, whoever he went to, and maybe things can work out after that. I think he's in it for the long haul, and she seems to be in it for the long haul. But I'm just gonna need her to dig deep and deal with whatever it is she's dealing with, and so that they can move on and be happy. Um. Okay, so I want to go to. I don't know if I want to do Keith and Iris, because that was juicy. I kind of wanted to wait on that one, but let's just go ahead. So, Keith and Iris. All right, so it starts off, they're playing what was it? The little dice game, the sex dice game that Dr. Pepper gave them. And of course, we all know you roll the dice, and whatever, there's an action, and then there's a body part on each dice. And oh gosh, Iris was just acting like she was just she was acting like a prude. She was acting, well, you know what? No, she was acting like a 10-year-old little girl that would run around if a boy try to come and hug her, kiss her, and she's like, "Ew, he has cooties." She was acting. Her maturity level was on a level of a 10-year-old. Like, seriously. And you could tell it was getting under Keith's skin. He was getting irritated. He was telling her, like, grow up. And he's trying, bless his heart, because he tries to be respectful. You could tell he's very frustrated, but he's not rude about it. I don't, at least I don't think he is. He's not rude when he talks to her, when he checks her, basically. He does it in such a nice, nasty type of way. But yeah, so they're playing, and it seemed like everything, it rolled on. She was like, "Ew, no, no, I'm not doing that." And he was just like, he just grabbed the dice and was like, "All right, game over. Like, if you're not gonna play it, let's just stop." So we see them with Dr. Coles and Pastor Cal. So Keith is with Pastor Cal, and of course, the subject of virginity comes up, and Keith admits, which, we knew, that he was feeling pressure. Like, he didn't even know if he wanted to be the one to take her virginity. And he also said, which was key to me, when he said, he didn't know if she was sure that she wanted him to be the one to take her virginity. And Pastor Cal was like, are you attracted to her? And he was like, he likes her. He's attracted to her. And so when Pastor Cal was like, are you sexually attracted to her? And he was like, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I don't know how to feel about that. And I don't know why Pastor Cal was acting confused, but I like, Keith is so composed. And Keith was like, listen, it's not just about the physical, it's about sexual maturity. And she's very immature when it comes to even talking about sex. So it makes him uncomfortable. He doesn't know how to approach her, which is totally understandable. And we've been saying this. I said it in my last video. It's a lot of pressure on him because, first of all, the world is watching how he handles her. He doesn't want to offend her. He doesn't want to move too fast. And so, yeah, he's dealing with a lot of stuff too. Um, but he did say that he still wants to work on it, even though he's still reserved and kind of unsure about the whole virginity thing. It is still a concern for him. So Dr. Coles and Iris are talking, and she's asking her about, how are things going. And of course, Iris mentions that Keith, at first, he was okay with, you know, her being a virgin, but now he's saying that it's a concern for him. It may impact his decision. And I don't know, she was kind of talking like the conversation her and her mom had just totally went over her head. So when she started talking, kept saying, take my virginity. And she did say that she felt like he didn't want that responsibility, and which is the same thing. He doesn't want it that comes with the responsibility, believe it or not. So she did recognize that he probably did not want that responsibility, that pressure on him. And so Dr. Coles was like, well, first of all, let's stop saying take your virginity, because it does have a negative tone to it. But that's just a term that have been used for years and years and years. I don't think when people say it, we're not literally meaning like taking, like he's gonna rape her type of thing, but that's just a term that's used. And but Dr. Coles was saying, maybe let's stop saying it like that because it has a negative tone to it. Because he's not taking anything. You have control over your body, obviously, because you held out and waited all this time. So it'd be a matter of you giving yourself to him. And so she started talking, giving her pointers about what to do and how to set the mood where it doesn't have to be sex, actual intercourse, but you are doing, sexual, intimate things where you're letting him know that you're trying to get to that point. And so she was just going over the whole, because you don't know how to navigate, you're hiding behind it, which, we all see that. So she was just giving her pointers. But one thing, when she said, okay, how about maybe taking a shower together, I was like, wait a minute, whoa, okay, wait a minute. Now she is like about to pass out and hyperventilate from a dice game. She was getting ready to go into convulsions when he said his favorite position was doggy style. And your suggestion, one of your suggestions, is to take a shower together. Really, Dr. Coles? Okay, so let's just get this straight. So they're supposed to be in the shower butt naked. Like, him seeing her totally nude is not going to get him aroused where she's going to see it, and you don't think she's going to freak out. I was like, no. Shower together, absolutely not. But Iris went with the edible body paint, and gel and pins and all of that. And so she got that. They met back up together. Well, they both agreed that they wanted to make this marriage work. Okay, so that's the whole thing with the show. Everyone, when they're meeting with the experts, they have to say, yes, I am committed. I'm still committed to making this marriage work. Okay, so they both agreed. They meet back up at home, and they talk about their separate meetings with the experts. And Iris seemed very relaxed at this point. Now, I don't know if she had, a drink, mixed with her lemonade or whatever, but she seemed relaxed. And I don't know, they both just seemed kind of calm and chill. And so next thing you know, he's sitting down, she's coming up with this robe and strawberries and the body paint and all of this stuff. And oh, Keith is excited, honey. He is just smiling and he's upbeat like he had coffee, like, because y'all know Keith is just Keith. I don't know if you got. And I'm so off the subject, but those who have little kids, I don't know if you remember. Oh my gosh, what is the name of that show? I can't even think of it. But the uncle name was it Uncle Nick Knox? What the heck was that show? I can't remember. But anyway, he was like, he wore only beige clothes. His office, his house, everything was beige, right? Like everything, paper bag, beige, brown, whatever. And he was so boring, so laid back, so reserved, just dry. Anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that, but I'm just saying, Keith is so Keith is kind of boring. He's just there. So when Iris started bringing out the stuff, and she was like, "Okay, I'm gonna put this on my arm," and oh, he was so, it was cute though. It was really cute seeing them relax and him getting excited and her calming down a little, right? So she puts it on her arm. He licks it off, and then she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna put it on my neck." She puts it on her neck, and he licks that off, and her eyes are rolling back. It is so funny because she's nodding her head like she has a mental checklist, and she's checking these things off. Then he goes to the legs and the thighs, and then he's on the chest. Now, this is where my mind starts to wander, okay? So I'm watching this. It's very sensual. They make such a beautiful couple. Like, everything looked right. Everything seemed like it fit. This is where my mind started to wander, because I'm like, where she where's Iris? Like, this, she was a totally different person. Because one of the things was, is she standoffish, and is she coming off um like she's repulsed by certain things because she's on camera? Like, that was a thought before, like, because I mean, think about it, guys. I mean, us experienced women, I wouldn't be comfortable having, somebody lick stuff off of me in front of the cameras. And here we have a virgin who, it's almost like she would cry at a drop of a dime when talking about sex. Like, she just seems so uncomfortable talking about it. And all of a sudden, you're on camera with this man licking edible gel off of you in a sensual, very sensual way. So I was like, my mind went here. Okay, follow me in my thoughts. Is it that Iris, I don't want to say putting up a facade. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's almost like she came on the show. Of course, her virginity was front and center, right? Like, that was her identity. That's what we knew of her. That's been the storyline all this time, right? So I'm trying to figure out, okay, did she come with this, and it's supposed to be this storyline of she's evolved, and now I don't know. I can't really explain it, but I will say I was thrown off. Okay, and I know people are like, oh, well, people have been complaining about she's not, going with the flow, and now that she is, trust me, I am not complaining. I'm happy that they went a step further, because I think that, and one thing she did mention with Dr. Cole's, well, no, this was during her confessional, when she was saying, look, sex has been on the back burner all her life for 27 years. Now that she's married, she feels like, okay, maybe now it's okay for me to explore that. So I don't know, maybe talking to Dr. Cole, all of a sudden she just had this epiphany that, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I don't have a problem with that. I was just shocked that she was that open in front of the camera. Like, you went from, I don't want to roll these dice, I do not want to hear you say doggy style, oh my God, I'm so uncomfortable, to your legs are open and this man is licking you on your thighs. This man is licking your chest. You know? Anyway, they had a good time. It was a very sensual scene. I'm glad that Iris is easing into it, being more comfortable. Keith seems, he was happy. Like, I don't think he had any complaints. So good for them. Let's move on to Jamie and Liz. All right. So, of course, Jamie's been gone, right? It starts off with Liz talking about Jamie being gone. He left, what, for 2 days? He's gone for 2 days. Of course, they had their big argument, talking about with her talking about the wedding photos, basically admiring herself on her wedding day, and him being upset. They had a huge argument, and he leaves. He's gone for 2 days. So we're starting off with that, and then Liz is doing her confessional. She's so distraught still, and she's talking about how the situation makes her feel about herself. She's like, she's second guessing herself. She's second guessing her integrity, um, her self worth, all of that. And the first thing I thought about was, And she said, you know, it's based off of everything that he said to her. And the first thing I thought about, that's the classic cycle of an abuser. That's what they do. They tear you down, they make you feel like you're nothing, no one's gonna want you, and so you're totally dependent on your mood and your emotions, and your self-worth is totally dependent on what they say, what they do, their opinion. If he tells you you're beautiful that day, you're feeling beautiful. If he's telling you, you know, you look fat and you know you act stupid, that's how you're feeling. That's what they do, because up until that point, even before when he was being kind of mean to her, Liz was still feeling herself. You know, she was still feeling herself. And I think that not the last argument, but the one before that, when he left the first time, when she was reading him, when they were fussing about the whole you know, job and school and all of that, and she went off on him. I think at that point he had broke her down, and she was fed up, so she lashed out. He came back, and then they had this other big blow up, and then he went, of course he really crossed the line big time. But so she's second guessing herself, and she's now she's down, she's depressed looking, and just not her usual self. So they meet up with the experts, and Jamie and Pastor Kyle. Jamie's sitting there, and he's just, Jamie has this smug look about him. Like, he's sitting there almost like, you can't tell me anything. Like, really? You're about to sit up here and analyze me? You know what I mean? He's just one of them types, like, you can't tell him anything about himself. Okay, I'll sit here and humor you, but, you know, I'm gonna do what I want to do and think what I want to think, and I don't care what you guys say. Like, he just has that air about him. So Pastor Cal is asking him about what happened. And he was like, you know, of course those words should never come out of your mouth. I can't believe you said that. When I saw the footage, he said, this is Pastor Cal talking. He said, I was like, oh no, this is it. Like, she's not coming back from this. And Jamie was like, yeah, you know, I was thinking the same thing. So he was asking him about it, you know, their argument and just their relationship in general. And Jamie was going into how, you know, they have their ups and downs, and how they go into attack mode with each other. Like, when they get upset, they basically they go in for the kill. Now with him, it's more so, and I noticed that he didn't really speak on how he reacts, how he acts, how he initiates things, how he handles things. It was all we. This is how we do it. This is what we do to each other. You know, it was that type of deal. So when Liz is sitting with Dr. Coles, and you know, going through the motions, she's telling Dr. Coles about Jamie's temper, and she's like, he just seems so different from the person that I knew from the first week. And yeah, because you guys, they've been arguing since what, the second day of the honeymoon. They've been arguing since then. He has shown his butt since then. It has been up and down. So of course Dr. Coles was like, yeah, it seemed like it's a roller coaster with you guys. And Jamie, you know, so Liz says, she's like, well, you know, he's the situation with sex. And she was like, you know, we have a problem because he feels like he's not getting enough. And I think she said they do it, I think she said 3 or 4 times, but he wants it more. And she was like, you know, we're still getting to know each other, so I think that's too much. And um she said sometimes she just gives in just so that they won't have to argue, so she won't have to hear his mouth, so you know, it doesn't turn into this big deal. And that just bothered me. Again, that's the classic abuse cycle. You give in to this man. So forget how you're feeling. Forget the fact that you are not in the mood. I'm just going to give it to him because if I don't, he's going to throw a tantrum. That is so bad. All of that is so bad. And she's like, I just go ahead and do it, so I won't have to hear his mouth. No, that's not how that works. You're by giving in and by constantly taking him back. This man has done so much in what, 5 weeks? He's done a lot of damage in 5 weeks. So just imagine how it's going to be a year. Imagine how it's going to be when the cameras are off. And because you're doing it now, you're giving it to him now, you're taking him back now, you're making excuses for him now, you're coddling him now, it is only going to get worse. You can't, and look, and he knows when she's not in the mood. Trust me, men know. And so he knows that you're giving in to him to please him. You think he's going to want that to stop? No. Once you start something and you are consistent with, that's what he's going to expect. And there's going to be a time where you are just not going to be in the mood, whether you're sick, whether it's that time of the month, whatever the situation may be, where you're just like, I can't, I just can't. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? Because all this time you've been giving in when you weren't in the mood, when you didn't want to. And he knows that you're doing it because you don't want to hear his mouth. So the day that you really physically, mentally just cannot perform, what do you think is going to happen? That's why you shouldn't start that. There should be boundaries. Listen, I'm not feeling well. It's the time of the month. And then it makes me wonder, because remember back on the honeymoon when she was talking about, I think she was on her cycle. And now I'm thinking back then, was it that did she want to do it, or was he at that time manipulating her, and she was just like, okay, let me just give in. Not to say that he was going to argue with her, because that was what, the second night of their honeymoon. But I'm just wondering if he kind of coerced her into having sex even though she was on her period. So it just, he is such a manipulator. Jamie is dangerous. He's, you can't tell him anything. In his head, he's right. He don't want to hear it. You need to speak the way he wants you to speak, look the way he wants you to look, give in to him whenever he says, and that's it. Don't argue with him. Don't argue with him, and don't say anything to him unless you're spoken to. You can act, kooky and funny, and that's only if he in the mood to deal with that. It's crazy. It's crazy. So, but she was saying how they do have fun together, and she wants this to work. But she, of course, she's concerned about his temper. So they both agreed to stay together, stay committed, make things work, even though, it's just craziness. But, and this is how it's just not going to get better. So after they have their separate sessions, where, what's her name? Liz was on the patio, just chilling. Here comes Jamie. He comes, he give her a hug, he sits down, and Liz has her list of boundaries. And it's funny because Jamie is always the one who wants to sit down and talk. He's always saying, let's sit down and talk. And that's one of the things Liz kind of seemed like she wasn't into. Like, she just want to have fun. She don't feel like they need to sit down and everything needs to be discussed and talked about and picked apart, every single second of the day. But yet when she, because he kind of come off like Liz is never serious. He wants to have a serious conversation. So now that they're on the patio after having their individual counseling sessions, so she's serious. No makeup. She's sitting there. She has her list. She has a straight face, and she's like, "Look, If this is going to work, there has to be boundaries. And he's like, okay. So she starts off with, look, when we got to talk about space. When I'm upset or, and I go in another room and I close the door, please respect that. Like, don't just come. Well, first of all, he apologizes, right? Apologize for his actions, apologize for his words, which, they all do. But then she goes into her boundaries, right? So she's talking about the space. When I'm in there and I close the door, please do not just come barging in. She was like, like the last situation, you barged in. She was like, which was just insane. And I'm sure she was scared because I was concerned watching that. You guys remember my last um commentary, and I was like, okay, is this a live feed? Like, can the experts get in there if stuff, start popping off? So all he heard was it was insane. She did not call him insane. She was saying just the situation, you know. Okay, maybe she was calling him insane a little bit. But you guys heard her. She was just like, it was just insane. And oh my gosh, I don't even think Jamie, I think he sits there and it's just the way he's so condescending in his looks. He sits there, legs crossed, he's leaning back and he's just looking at her. It's like he's waiting to hear keywords so that he can just pounce. He's immediately on the defense. So when she said, you can't barging in, it was just insane. And he's like, well, wait a minute. If we're gonna have a conversation, we can't do name calling. And this cycle happens so much that you can immediately see in her face that she know is coming. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as he said that, she already knew it's about to be something. It's about to be something. He's about to go left because he's already being combative. So she said, okay, all right. Well, you know, the situation was just, I think she said, but it was just crazy. And of course, he's, he's being defensive again. And he's like, look, I'm not going to sit here and have you demean me and, be demeaning to me. And it's just, she was just like, so then she starts breaking down. She's like, you were not respecting me. That's what it all boils down to. Like, you didn't number one, you didn't respect her just the way you were talking to her. You didn't respect her space. So when she was like, okay, I don't want to talk about this anymore, I just want to go into another room. Like, she didn't leave, right? She didn't leave the apartment. She went in another room. Here you come barging in like, no, you're going to talk to me. Like, you're forcing her to talk to you. You're not respecting her boundaries. And so that's why she was just like, look, you were not respecting me. And that's all I was saying. So they agree to, well, Jamie suggests, all right, why don't we designate one day a week where we can sit down, talk about our feelings, talk about the marriage, and just see where we are at that moment. I think that's a good idea, especially with them, because maybe if they have this talk once a week, they can deal with whatever is going on at that moment and not let it fester to the point where it blows up. Now, the only problem with that, if Jamie is not open to listening to what Liz is saying, if he's not open to hearing that he's not perfect and that maybe she's pissing him off or that maybe he's doing something wrong, or if she has a request, for something other than what he's giving her, is he going to be receptive to that? That's the thing. Like, yeah, it's all well and good. I like the idea of couples. I mean, I don't think, once a week now because they're new and because they've already been having problems. Yeah, for them, maybe. But I do think it's good for couples just every once in a while just to sit down and talk about feelings and what's going on. And I really believe that when you are feeling some type of way, it is good to sit down and communicate, because the other person may think like they're okay. They thinking that everything is fine. You're walking them around giving the silent treatment or, attitude, and they're thinking that whatever argument you guys had is over with, but you're still harboring feelings and hurt and frustration and anger about it. Let it out. Now I know for me it takes a minute. It takes a minute, because sometimes, and that's not even with my husband, just with anybody. If I'm pissed, give me my space. Like, don't be in my space when I'm upset. Give me a minute and then we can talk. Or maybe nothing needs to be said. Just give me a minute to calm down and then I'm okay. So it's all about learning your partner. Husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever your situation is, you have to learn each other's mood, each other's way of communication. And yeah, every blue moon, maybe you need to sit down over dinner, whatever, some wine, sit down and just have a conversation. Reflect on how far you guys have come. My husband and I do that a lot. We'll talk about when we first met, where we used to live, the birth of our children, and where we are now. And it's so, trust me, you would get a good laugh, and at some moment in there you end up falling in love again. There's something about falling in love all over again with your significant other. It's a beautiful thing. So I know I'm off. I don't went off tangent, right? But yeah, with Jamie and Liz, they're dysfunctional, we know it, but I think they thrive off of it. I think they do. Liz wants it to work, and I think she's okay with some of the dysfunction, but he's taking it too far, and you could tell when it's too far with her. Like she reacts totally different. So yeah, but they agreed to stay committed and work it out and have these one night, these one day a week sit down with each other to discuss their marriage and their feelings. So we'll see where that goes. All right, so let's end this with Matt and Amber. All right, so it starts off, Amber is crying, she's snotting all over the place. Matt's bum ass, he talking about him not coming home. And I'm like, okay, are they doing a recap? Because we know he didn't come home before, and we thought that, we had an understanding that you don't do that and you're supposed to bring your butt home. No, Matt does it again. So she's, doing her confessional. I mean, her face, she's so, just a mess. Just a mess. But she's crying, and I'm almost certain she didn't go to work again if it was on a weekday. And she's just talking about, instead of her being upset, she's crying and she's like, I just need him home. I just want him here to hold me. And, she'll do anything to make it work. Like, literally, I'll do anything to make it work. And I'm just like, this girl is gone. She's gone. This man, wow, Jesus. We've all seen it. Okay, we've seen it. He's not changing. He's doing the same thing over and over. And instead of you being upset at how he's treating you, you are wanting him more. You're talking about what you would do to make it work. What you're willing to do to make it work. And you're saying that's anything. So she's, in her confessional, she was like, she feels rejection when he doesn't come home. Like, you think he's rejecting you. So, of course, he comes in all nonchalant, like he does. And, he's just like, yeah, what's up? And of course, they're talking, and she's like, just the same old, same old. She gives him the same, I just want you to call me, let me know that you're going to be out and make sure you're home. But I'm jumping ahead because that's like, that was towards the end. But they, at this time, he was not home yet. They had actually met with the experts first. All right, let's get it together. So they're meeting with the experts, and I don't even know which one I want to start with. Let's just start with Pastor Kyle and Matt. So Matt comes in with his Matt is nuts. He's nuts. So he comes in and he sits down with Pastor Kyle. Pastor Kyle already know what's up. I mean, and it's the crazy thing because Matt acts like he's getting over on everybody. Like they don't know what's going on. Like, Matt, this is not the first time that you've pulled this. They knew about the first incident. Why would you think they didn't know? And you know what? And I'm wondering if he thought that the reason why or how they found out the last time was because Amber told them. So maybe he felt like she wouldn't tell it again because it's embarrassing. I guess it's almost like, yeah, she not gonna tell it again, cause then she gonna look like the fool. So she'll keep it a secret. That's the only way I can make sense out of it, right? So he comes in and sits down. Pastor Kyle's like, "Hey, what's going on? How are things going?" And Matt starts off just lying, and he's like, yeah, everything is going good, and I feel like we're building a strong foundation, and yeah, I feel like this last good month, we've been real good. So Pastor Kyle was like, what? Are you talking about? We are talking about Amber and Matt, right? So he's like, yeah. And you could tell at that moment he was like, uh-oh. I know he know. Pastor Kyle took them glasses off, y'all. If he ain't look like somebody daddy ready to ask you one more, you know how your daddy asked you one, I'm gonna ask you one more time. What, tell me the truth. What's going on? Don't BS me before he get ready to get that belt to your butt. So he was like, look, don't play. Like, let's be for real. Where have you been, Matt? Like, what's going on? And this is how Amber should be coming off to him. Like, See, first of all, that after that first time, there would not have been a second. As soon as I saw the white of your eyeballs when you came to that door, trust and believe. So Pastor Cal is like grilling him. He's like, where have you been? What's going on? So Matt at that point realized, all right, they know. They know. And his whole demeanor changes, right? And he's like, um, yeah, I just been figuring things out. I just been trying to figure things out. And he's like, figure what out? What's going on? So, they're flip flopping back and forth between the session with him and Amber and Dr. Cole. And I have to do it back and forth this way because it kind of, their questions and answers kind of coincide with each other. It's like, it's almost like all four of them in the room together. So Dr. Cole is like, what's going on? How are you feeling? What's the deal? And Amber's explaining how when the cameras are on, Matt is totally different, which of course, duh. He's totally different. And when the cameras are off, he's not even there. She's like, she barely sees him. And Dr. Cole's like, really? Well, do you think he's seeing somebody? Because Amber was like, I feel like he's living a double life. I do feel like he has a girlfriend, he has another woman, and she's like, she feels it in her gut. Now, just listen to all of this. See, Amber does, when she's doing her confessionals and she's talking about how she feels like Matt is not into her, she feels like he's rejected her, like he doesn't want to be around her, like he doesn't want this situation, she don't know why he's on the show. And then now she's saying in her gut feeling she feel like there's someone else. So she knows. Okay, we all have that intuition. So her intuition is kicking in, is telling her, but she doesn't want to listen. She doesn't want to believe it. And the reason why she's not is because he has not totally left. It's like we know he's no good for us. We know he ain't about anything. We know he's a liar. We know he's cheating. You know these things, women. We know. But because he keeps coming back, then we're telling ourselves, okay, well maybe I'm tripping. Maybe he's not doing these things. Maybe he does just need space. Or maybe he was cheating, but now he's not anymore because he's back home with me. He's choosing me. Like we're still trying to convince ourselves he's choosing us. No, he's choosing him. He's not choosing her. He's not choosing you. He's not choosing the other woman and the woman down the street and the one that he gonna meet next week. He's choosing him because he's selfish. And because he know that the women that he has chosen to be around is putting up with it. And if you don't, guess what? Bye bye. He'll find somebody else to put up with it. There's always going to be somebody that's going to put up with the BS. Okay, so I think because he keeps coming back, it's throwing her off, and she's taking it as okay. He keeps coming back home. Let me tell you something. Amber's not. She know what's up. She knows he's. She knows is the check. She knows all of this, and like I said before, I feel like that's why she keeps having sex with him, because she feels like, okay, if I have sex with him all the time, maybe that'll make him happy and he won't leave. But honestly, like I've said, I think he's doing it just to do it. I don't even think he's sexually attracted to Amber. And you know, men are not like women. He don't have to be sexually attracted to you to do it. Okay, and I think he's just doing it. Number one, I guess he feel like, well, what type of man would I be? I'm turning down sex. He just goes through the motion, and I don't even think he's putting any effort when they're doing it. I think it's all her. I think she's doing all the work, and she has no problem with it. So anyway, she is spilling her guts to Dr. Coles, and Dr. Coles is like, look, I have to tell you, this does not seem like a marriage. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, it doesn't seem like a marriage. And Amber agrees with her. So she's like, okay, so are you gonna stay with him? Like, why would you stay with him? And Amber is like, I like him, like, a lot. I really, really like him. And I want this to work. I don't want it. I guess if it doesn't work, it's not because she didn't put in effort. But I mean, what else can you do, Amber? You have done, what else can you do? Like, you have begged this man. You have begged him. You have made a fool out of yourself on national TV. So I don't know what else. You've told him you give this man sex all the time. Okay, at least that's how it looks. You have volunteered to take care of him financially while he figures his life out. You have cried, you have begged, you have even told him he can hang out as long as he texts you. What more can you give? What more can you give? And he's still dogging you out. So back to Matt and Pastor Cal. Okay, so now that Dr. Cole has asked Amber, do you feel like it's someone else in the picture? He got a girlfriend, whatever. Amber's like, yeah, I in my gut, I feel like there's another woman. I feel like he's living a double life. He went to stay at a friend house, but the friend wasn't even there. And remember when I was saying to you guys, I was like, that last when he stayed out the first time, and he ain't come home to what, 2 o'clock? And I'm like, what friend does he have that he could just come and go at all times of the day and night? Are they not working? So Pastor Cal and Matt, so then right, the screen goes to Pastor Cal and Matt, and Cal is asking him the same question. Is there someone else? Like, because we're trying to get to the bottom of why are you staying out all the time? Is there someone else? Oh my God. Matt shifted in his seat. His face got all he did his that eye contact broke right at that moment. He started looking elsewhere, eyes all shifty, and he getting all flustered, and he's like, um, what did he say? He was like, he's the fact that that would even be a question is disappointing. But guess what he didn't say? He didn't say no. He said that quickly deflect and moved on with the conversation. Moved on with the conversation. So then Pastor Cal's like, well, Matt, well, what is it? We're trying to figure this out. We're trying to see, do you want to stay married? Do you like her? Do you care enough to stay in? Pastor Cal, we need to go back. No, sir, we need to go back. Matt, is there another woman? And see, this is what guys like him do. Technically, he's not lying. So you can't come back and say, well, you lied. You said there was another woman. No, he didn't say anything. He didn't say yes or no. So technically he's not lying. He just didn't admit it or deny it. But if you're not denying it, that's an admission. I don't care what anybody say. We all know it's another woman. So he's like, yeah, I like her. I care about her. Yeah, I know I need to get it together. I know I need to figure things out. Um, I want to make this work with her. So Pastor Cal's like, well, look, you're not acting like it. You're not coming off as a good husband. Like, you're messing up this marriage. You need to step up to the plate and do what you're supposed to do if you want this marriage to work. So Matt's like, yeah, yeah, the same old crap. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna, all right, I'm gonna work on it. Okay, so now we are back at home with them, and they're talking about their meetings, and he's like, what can I do? And just it's like the same old. And so she's like, well, all I ask is that you text me. What did she say at the beginning of the night, and then text me again at the end of the night, and just make sure you're home by 2:30 a.m. He had this look. Let me tell you something. Y'all know, like the little thought bubble. If we could see the thought bubble next to Matt's head when she said that, I bet you that thought bubble probably was like, is this girl for real? Like, she's making this way too easy for me. It's like Matt couldn't get rid of Amber if he wanted to. Because all of this he's done, it's almost like he's doing stuff to, even if she hangs in there until week 8, until the end of the experiment, it's almost like he's setting it up so that at the end of the experiment she's so frustrated, so turned off, so hurt that she won't stay with him. Like he's doing nothing to make this work. So she's like, that's all I ask of you. Does that work for you? And he's like, yeah. He was like, actually, that's more than I would expect from anyone, which is true. I guess he's like, damn. But she makes it to, what woman will want her husband staying out until 2:30 in the morning? Do you know how much stuff he can get into until 2:30 in the morning? Like, so they agree to stay together. Next thing you know, so then she's like, well, action speaks louder than words. And he's like, yeah, yeah, I'm gonna have to show you with my actions. I'm like, Amber, we've already been here. We've already had this conversation where you said to him, okay, the first time he disappeared, she said, I want you to at least text me, let me know everything's okay, whatever, communicate with me. And once again, I forgot to mention, she was saying how this time when he stayed out and she was texting him and calling him and was like, I want you to be home. I want to spend the night with you. And he's totally ignoring her. So even on their 1 month anniversary, when they went out to dinner and they were talking about what he could do better or what she want, At that time, she said, I just want you to text me to let me know you're alive. So here we are, the third time on camera. She is saying to him, I need you to check in when you're staying out all night until 2:30 in the morning. You need to communicate with me. And once again, for the third time, what is he saying? All right, yeah, I can do that. But you haven't done it yet, Matt. When are you going to do it? Y'all got like what? How many weeks left? When are you going to start doing it? So that's all she needed to hear. She's happy go lucky. But then in her confessional, she's like, well, I have to admit, I don't believe that he's going to change. Not right away. Anyway, he's going to have to show me. Next thing you know, they showing him in the bed. She happy go lucky, like, child, like it's Christmas morning. She was just like nothing happened, and he's laying up there looking annoyed as usual. He looks so. I don't think I've ever seen a man that looked annoyed to have a woman wanting to give herself completely to him. It's just crazy with them. But yeah, she's giggling and laughing and playing, and he's just like going through the motions. So that is it. It was quite a bit. I don't know why this episode seemed longer than all the others, but maybe I was just tired. It was just so much going on this week for me. But yeah, that's it, you guys. That is my review, my commentary on the show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry it was late. Again, thank you guys so much for hanging in there with me and checking out my channel. Please leave your comments below and let's talk about it. Until next time, take care.